What up, what up, what up? How's it going tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Fishing friends. Kind of an impromptu live stream. Didn't give anybody a whole lot of notice on this one, but that's okay. I still think it'll be fun, even if we only have a handful of folks on. Fisherman 83 and John Smith, how's it going? Really interesting video that my buddy the Bait Man posted on his channel. You should run over there and watch it. I'll put a link to his video in the description here after the show is over. What up, Mike? How's it going, dude? But you know, I got to thinking what he said is this has got to be the most overrated, overpriced wintertime lure there is out there. And he's talking about the original Storm Wiggle Wart. Big Bass Dreams. Matthew, Brian, how's it going, dude? Nathan. You guys know I love Wiggle Warts. I got a bunch of them back here hanging up. These are all pre-Rapala Wiggle Warts, the overpriced, overhyped, overrated Wiggle Warts, according to Kevin Bateman. And I thought, man, this is a great video. This is a great topic. Kevin did a great job on his video, and I thought I want to go on live and talk about this for just a few minutes. It won't be an all-nighter here or anything, but he makes a great point in that there are a lot of, hey, Jake, how's it going? Justin, Alan, Corey. There are a lot of baits out there that get overhyped. Some for really good reason and others maybe not so much. Coffee Jimmy, nice. And the Wiggle Wart, there's no disputing this little bad boy here definitely falls in the overhyped category. And you guys have been watching my show. You know, I had quite a few live streams last winter time talking about the warts. I'm going to have David Storm back on. I've talked to him, and he's going to come on, and we're going to talk more about Wiggle Warts because it's just fun to talk about. But the mysticism behind these Wiggle Warts all really had to do with the fact that after the Storm brothers sold the company to Rapala, things changed. And hey, Mason, how's it going? Kyle? And a lot of people say, well, it was all because of the plastic and the manufacturing process changed, and that's why. And I used to think, Texas Huntsman, the Bandito bug. I don't know about the Bandito bug. Maybe that's still got to come out. I've not fished with that yet. But here's the thing. It's not just the plastic. It's not just the components. It's not the fact that it went from the Storm brothers to Rapala. What we learned from David Storm last year was that a shortage was created on purpose by Rapala without even realizing it. What the Storm brothers would do, like this color right here, this is 208 Blue Craw. It's a very popular color. This thing out of the package can easily sell for 60, 70, 80 bucks, 90 bucks. And depending upon how old it is and new in the package, it's not inconceivable for this thing to sell for $100. Well, this thing sold for like $4 when it originally came out, you know, and now it's that pricey. Well, here's kind of what led to the scarcity. What drives price on anything? Well, hype definitely drives price, but scarcity also. Alan's got 3.5 inches of ice. Nice. Scarcity really drives up price. So all these Ozark craw colors, a lot of these Rapala quit making. Now they did continue to make some. And this is kind of what happened on the whole color spectrum. If you look at some of their color charts, I got one here handy. Let's see if I got. All right, here, this doesn't even scratch the surface on all the old school Wiggle Wart colors. There's bunches and bunches and bunches of them. And there's old Stacy King right there in the picture. He was a young guy then too. But I digress there. Right on, Frank. I'm wearing my fancy necklace tonight, the ICBM. Okay, what happened is the Storm brothers, because they were a small business, if they had a customer who said, "Hey, I'd like to try a new color," you know, let's pick any one of these colors I got floating around out here. We'd like, here we go. We want a shiny Wiggle Wart with some red and some gold. Can you make one for us? And they would. And they might have a tackle store, one tackle store up in Northwest Washington that asked for this color and would buy 300 of these a year. And the Storm brothers would make it and sell it to them. And then they would put it in their catalog. And before you knew it, they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of colors. Well, when Rapala bought the company, they said, we're not going to keep making one color that only sells 300 baits a year. That's stupid from a business standpoint. We're not going to do that. We're going to take the popular colors, the ones that sell in the thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, and that's all we're going to make. And so when they did that, all these other colors quit being made. They became very valuable, very pricey. Like, for example, there's a handful of the warts. I've got some of them around here that are made to mimic. They were designed by Japanese lure designers, and they're very specific Japanese colors. Those things go for big, big money now because the collection's so small. Michael, no, I haven't seen Dean's collection. I'd like to see that. Yes, Alan, Storm was the original owner of the warts. It was the Storm brothers who created the company, and they invented the wart. And then they sold out to Rapala as they got older. And then Rapala kind of changed some things. So I digress. I'm not going to try to get into a long diatribe about the history of the wart. We'll do that on another show, which is really fun. But what Baitman said was, this thing's not worth $70. It's not worth $80. And here's why. You can buy new warts right off the shelf, and they only cost, what do they cost? $6, $5.50, $6. And they look similar. They've duplicated a lot of the original Wiggle Wart colors, and it's got the same shape and the same big eyes and the same action in the water. And even though it's different plastic, they still catch fish, and they're only $5 or $6. There you go, Ray, $5.49. So 2 craw colors, $75, $5.50. What he's saying is overpriced, overrated. This will still catch you fish. And I'll tell you bluntly, I completely agree with him. Even though I got all these, and I got way more than that. Let me show you. Old warts, pre-wrap warts, short warts, pre-wrap mag warts, more. I got 5 or 6 boxes of these. Old warts. Old warts. I got bunches of them. But I still, even though I love them and I do fish with them, I agree with Kevin. They're overrated. They're overhyped. They're too expensive almost all the time. There are some exceptions. One of the exceptions, see, Mason, one of the exceptions is if you're looking for a specific color that you can no longer get from Storm lures. Well, then it might be worth paying the money. The other exception is if you're just a collector and you're collecting it for fun. And another exception is really if you're in a competition and you're fishing a tournament down at the Ozarks or one of these Table Rock or Bull Shoals, one of these rocky Ozark impoundments where the Wiggle Wart is very, very popular, you probably should own you a few originals. I have fished as a co-angler with pros down on the Ozarks. I've also been a marshal with pros on the Ozark lakes, the Table Rock lakes. And let me tell you, Wiggle Wart season, they got boxes full of these original warts. They throw the new ones, yeah, and they throw other alternatives, but when they're fishing for money, they throw these too. Nice Caro, cool. So it's Kevin's absolutely right. There's a ton of other options out there if you don't want to spend 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 bucks. You can start with the new Wiggle Warts. He talks a lot about the Curve 55. You know, he's sponsored by 6 Cents, and it's a great lure as well. And they got, hey, let's face it, 6 Cents has a ton of cool colors out there. So you can find tons and tons of different colors for the Curve 55, and these cost about $8 or $9 from 6 Cents Lures, and they're shaped very closely to the Wiggle Wart. They dive similarly to the Wiggle Wart. They dive 5 to 9 feet, and generally speaking, when I fish a Wiggle Wart, I'm fishing a Wiggle Wart in 0 feet down to about that 8 or 9 foot range normally, and most of these Wiggle Wart copycats are going to do the same thing. And they make a lot of the craw patterns that work great in the Ozarks. I'll show you a couple of other brands that I think are even better than the Curve 55 that you could try. Better is maybe not the right word, but just different alternatives. This one I showed you guys the other night and even gave one of these away on the giveaway show. Profound Outdoors makes the Boss Hog, the Brian Snowden Boss Hog, and it is the whole intent behind the Boss Hog is to duplicate the Wiggle Wart. And as you can see, this is a great phantom green craw copycat of the original Wiggle Wart. It dives, as it says there, 6 to 10 feet. It's a very, very nice bait. And same thing. It's about 2.5 inches long, 3/8 of an ounce, just like a Wiggle Wart. So these Boss Hogs are a great option if you don't want to spend big money. Here's another cool color. I got a bunch of these. This one's called Mad Gill. Another really nice company out there that makes some really nice Wiggle Wart copycats are these Zoner Hunters by Major Craft Lures. Thanks, Alan. This is an original Storm Lures hat. David Storm sent this to me. Old school in it. This, of course, is another one of these colors that is the Phantom Green. The whole key to this one is they're trying to duplicate. Sweet, Mr. Bass. I mean, Mike Dove, that's great. Look at that thing. Beautiful bait. And I've heard a lot of good things about the Major Craft. I like them quite a bit, and I know other people throw them. Here's another Major Craft that fell on the floor. This is one of the most popular colors of the Wiggle Wart, the Missouri Craw color. It goes for a ton of money. Even the used ones go for a ton of money. So they've recreated this same color, and it looks very close to the original Wiggle Wart Missouri Craw. You can see it's the Zoner, Major Craft Zoner. Works great. Works great. I don't know, Texas Huntsman, if it blocks the sun at all. To tell you the truth, it probably doesn't block the sun at all. A couple of other companies out there that make a lot copycat Wiggle Warts, Brad's Wiggler, VMC hooks, and he copies a lot of the exact same color patterns. This one here is the he calls it the BW45, which he basically copies the exact same numbering system as the original Wiggle Warts. The original Wiggle Wart V45 is called a brown scale crawdad. Here's another Brad's Wiggler. Of course, this is the Fire Tiger color. He calls it Brad's Wiggler 74. And if you go to the numbering system of the Wiggle Warts, original Wiggle Warts, V74 is the Hot Tiger, same exact color. So Brad's Wigglers are even easier to figure out colors. If you know, I love the V72, the brown trout, and original Wiggle Wart. If Brad's Wiggler makes a brown trout, they're going to call it the BW72. Their numbers cross over. Yeah, they make a ton of warts, bigger warts and wee warts and short warts and original warts. So Pete Stoneman, dude, I would love to buy some Missouri Craw patterns from you, because that's a great bait. It's a great color. Very, very popular. Okay, I'm only going to show you two others. Like I said, I'm not going to keep you guys forever here. This is basically by Lucky Strike. They came up with a Wiggle Wart alternative as well. They call them the American Originals, the G5. That's kind of a cool, swirly looking pattern there, Pete Stoneman. This color is called Tomato Green Shell Craw. It's got a red belly, which you might can see from this side. Darn, I dropped it. They don't, Alan, to my knowledge, they don't make a Bama, what you would call a Bama craw, but they do make a craw color that could probably mimic a lot of the same colors. So these American Originals, they're not very expensive either. $7, $8, something like that. Be my guess, maybe a little less. This one has a kind of a rub on it, but that's another craw color, spring craw color they're trying to copy. They call this one Cajun Baby. And then here's Casey's Craw. So there's not going to be a Casey's Craw and a Storm Wiggle Wart, but the action, the bill shape, the size, the way it dives, the way it runs is going to be very similar to a Wiggle Wart. I just knew your name, Pete. All right. So the verdict is in. I totally agree with the bait man. The Wiggle Wart, the original Storm Wiggle Wart, is absolutely overrated. Is it the most overrated? I don't know. I don't know about that, but it's definitely one of the very most overrated. The only thing I can say in response to that is kind of what I said before. Go look at what's in the pros boats. The pros buy and look for original Storm Warts. Now, there's probably only a handful of colors they look for, and they're all those craw patterns. But they definitely look for them. Like this brown craw, that's one that they all want. This is just an old try and true. Got a little red on the belly. That's the V37. This one's pretty popular color too. This is chartreuse hot green crayfish. This one goes for quite a bit of money, especially in the package. A couple of other crawdad patterns that are very, very popular. This one. Here's a Missouri craw. Look how chewed up this Missouri craw is, and I'm still keeping it just because they're so rare and hard to get. This is a super, super sought after color, believe it or not. Very, very popular. Here's one. Here's this is actually another Missouri craw that doesn't have nearly as much of a problem as far as scratches and that kind of stuff. Will Mr. Bass sell them and retire to Florida? Well, I don't know if I could get all the way to Florida after I sold them. Here's another very popular. This is one of the Phantom crayfish colors. Phantom brown and Phantom green are the two most popular. And this one's very, very sought after. Do I have any of the originals in perch? Yeah, Mike, I do. I don't know if I got it here hanging, but I definitely do have some of those in perch. So let me get to if I wanted to catch fish and I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg, I only wanted to buy one lure, whether it's the original Wiggle Wart. I guess I didn't keep it in here. If I could only buy one, here's the new Hot Tiger. You can see it's kind of got a matte finish. If I could only buy one and I wasn't going to spend an arm and a leg, so we take Kevin's advice, yes, it's overhyped, it's overpriced. I'm not spending 50 bucks on a crankbait. I'm going to buy one of these that's under $10, but I'm only going to buy one. Which one would Mr. Bass buy? Would I buy the original Wiggle Wart? No, I would not. Would I buy the Strike King American Originals? No, I would not. How about the Major Craft? Tempting, but no, I would not. How about the Boss Hog? Also very tempting, but no, I would not. How about the Curve 55? No, I would not. My choice, without hesitation, is this bad boy right here. The Spro Rock Crawler is, for a Wiggle Wart replacement, the all-around best choice out there, in my opinion. And you know what opinions are worth? They're not worth squat. But if I were spending my money and I could only buy one Wiggle Wart replacement, this is it. The Spro Rock Crawler is amazing. It is incredible when compared to the other baits. And the reason is, in my opinion, again, my opinion, is what it says right here. Mike McClellan. Mike McClellan has won more money fishing the Ozark lakes with crankbaits than maybe any other angler out there on the planet. He's one of the very tops. He has mastered Wiggle Wart fishing. He knows how to do it, and he knows how to make tons of money. And what he did was he took that knowledge and he took his many years of skill as a professional angler, and in my opinion, he created a better alternative to the Wiggle Wart. It's actually better than the Wiggle Wart, in my opinion. And not only has he done that, but he's also done an amazing job of duplicating the winning colors, the very best colors out there that work in the Ozarks and in my part of the world. It's great. And he's got several different sizes now. Here's another beautiful thing about this Pro Rock Crawler. The Wiggle Wart only goes 8 to 9 feet. Now, if you put it on really thin line, you know, you can get it down there further. Mike solved that problem by making other sizes that will dive deeper. They're just great, great baits. This is one of the great color of his. It's called Mud Bug. This is an excellent one here where he's copying that Phantom Brown. You know, I was saying there's the Phantom Brown and Phantom Green that are some of the most popular. This color is so sexy. I'm going to show you a few of these out of the package. I mean, they're just beautiful. And there's nothing funner than a beautiful bait. But there is one thing more fun than a beautiful bait that catches fish, not just the fisherman. Here's one of those brown Phantoms out of the package. What line do I use? Okay. If I could get away with it, I'd fish with just 8-pound test. But normally, that's too light for the conditions I fish in. There's tons of rock and timber. So normally I'm going to fish with 10 or 12-pound tests. Normally in that 10-pound range is where I'm going to stay. Here's his Missouri Craw. This is what the Spro Rock Crawler Missouri Craw looks like. Guess I got to focus here. It's a very, very nice copy of the Missouri Craw. But he has, you know, he has his own little unique, you know, he doesn't just copy it exactly, but it really, really works well. Great bait. Here's a nice one here. This one's PB&J, I believe is what they call this one. Again, a very nice craw pattern, but he's got that purple on there. And purple works really good out at Table Rock Lake. So PB&J. Yeah, Frank, you're right. They bounce off cover great. They're just great, great baits. This one is the Mud Bug. Again, look at how great these craw they look very lifelike and realistic. A little bit of pink and then a nice little darker color there. Here's I forget what this one's called. It's more of a spring craw, I guess you'd call it. And then, no, this is the spring craw, actually. I'm pretty sure this one's called spring craw. Much brighter, chartreuse, little orange in the belly. And then here's a Red River craw. I think the Red River craw is pretty cool looking too. Look at that one. Fisherman 83, I have cellmate on a lot of my Spro crankbaits, but not any rock crawlers. Anywho, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I totally agree with Kevin, even though I am a Storm pre-Rapala Wiggle Wart junkie. There's no question. I've got thousands and thousands of dollars of Wiggle Warts, Storm Wiggle Warts, pre-wrap Storm Wiggle Warts. I love them. There's just something fun about them. But I will tell you, because these things were handmade, there you can see the seam down the middle. There's a left side and a right side. They would paint each left side and right side. They would glue the left and right side together by hand. Everything they did, they painted them by hand. Even the wording Wiggle Wart on the bill, they screen printed by hand. They They would put the little stencil on there and spray paint it. Because it's not a highly mechanized automation process, these things never come out the same. You never have two. They rattle, Alan. Most of the time, you're looking for rattlers. But no two old Wiggle Warts are alike. And one really frustrating thing with these old warts, especially if you spend 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks, a lot of them don't fish well at all. You'll put them in the water and they just don't fish well. And you can try to tune them and try to tune them, and some will straighten out, some never will. And it's because they were all made by hand with not a ton of what I would call extreme quality control measures. So the rock crawler runs great out of the package almost every time, not these old ones. And that's a risk you take. You may spend 50 bucks and get it, and you say, I want to fish with it, and it's one of these crappy ones that doesn't fish. The other thing is the older ones, the rattles get stuck. So if you're wanting one that has a nice rattle, sometimes they don't work. This one is stuck. It's silent. And normally they don't come silent. They also they have a suspending version and a not suspending version, a floating version, basically. But that's the deal. That's kind of my opinion. For whatever it's worth, take it and do what you want with it. I think it's a great topic. And if you're an old school, hardcore, dyed-in-the-wool, pre-Rapala Wiggle Wart guy, I'd love to hear your opinion. Drop them down in the comments. Share the video with any of your Wiggle Wart guys. I'd love to see their comments on what they think. Is the original overpriced, overrated, overhyped? I say yes. Kevin says yes. But I still love them. I absolutely love them. They are a ton of fun to collect. There's so many great color patterns, and they hold their value pretty well. You're not going to lose an arm and a leg if you buy it. Now, one thing about that plastic, Brian's saying bring back the plastic. I don't know how you pronounce that. Booty rate plastic. David Storm cleared that myth up for us as well. Mr. Bass, do you fish with those baits hanging? Yeah, I fish with a lot of them, Alan. The ones that I don't fish with are in the package. I don't fish with all of these, obviously, because normally I'm just throwing craw patterns more than anything. But Matthew, no, that's not true. It does not have cancer-causing properties. That's a myth. I nailed David down and said, look, I've always been told that the plastic got changed because it caused cancer. And he said, no, the plastic didn't get changed. He said, in fact, the first few years when Rapala bought Storm, they had a factory in Oklahoma. Storm Lures had a factory in Oklahoma and a factory in Mexico. They shut down the Oklahoma plant. Rapala kept the Mexico plant open for several years, and everything was the same. The way that the plastic that they used was the same. Everything about the way they manufactured the baits was exactly the same. There was no difference. There was never any proof that the plastic caused cancer. That was not even a concern. What happened is that Rapala eventually, part of their plan was they were going to phase out the Mexico plant. And when they phased out the Mexico plant, their plan was to take the lures back to Finland and make them there. Well, the way that Rapala makes crankbaits is they don't make the bill a part of the body. These warts, the bill is part of the body, and the bill and the wart all glues together in one piece. This is one, well, it's two pieces glued together. The way Rapala builds their lures is they build the body and the bill separate, and then they slide the bill into the body and glue the bill into the body. And that was their plan for the Wiggle Wart. So according to David, they did that. They changed the way these were made by putting the bill, gluing the bill in, and it totally changed the action of the bait. And they got so many complaints that they then went back to manufacturing it the old way. But they did end up changing the plastic. I believe the plastic type did change, but it never caused cancer. That was never a deal. So that's just one of the myths, one of the urban legends about the Wiggle Wart. That's kind of fun. But the action of the bait is different because of the handmade process and the fact that they're not always lined up perfect, and they're not always painted perfectly, and there's little flaws. In fact, the hook keeper that is in this bill was also put into the plastic mold when the plastic was poured by hand, and sometimes this little hook hanger in here is deeper than other times, and if you get one that's out too far, it gives a different action than when it's in deep. And the same with the hook hangers underneath. Sometimes they're in wrong, or bent a little, or twisted a little, and your action, where listen, the Rapala people, they're perfectionists. They created that. They got their system down so that when you buy a new wart, it's perfect as far as the manufacturing goes. So, what do you think? Overhyped, overpriced. That was fun. That was kind of a little 37-minute rant, I guess. But when Baitman did that video, I was like, oh man, he's onto something here. And there's probably some people. The Spro hooks are great, Alan. I do not replace the Spro hooks. I fish them right out of the package like that until they're worn out, and then I'll upgrade the hooks. But I don't replace the Spro hooks. Hey, Shannon, how you doing? I heard you got in a car wreck or something. Okay, so let's see. Tonight's Thursday. I may not be doing a show tomorrow night after all. I was going to do a spin to win show tomorrow night, but my wife says I've been spending too much time, and she's right. I've been spending a lot of time on these lives, literally every night. So I'm probably going to take a break tomorrow night and not do any live streams. And then Saturday night, 7:30, I'm going to be on Debo's show. So hop on over to Debo's show, and Debo and I are going to be there, and hopefully Steve Chapman's going to be joining us too. He's got to check his schedule, but I think he's going to join us. So that will be fun as well. All right, go get you some Wiggle Warts. Now's the time of year to fish a wart. Whether you get the old one or the new one or the Curve 55 or my recommendation, the Rock Crawler, go try it. I think you'll like it. They definitely work in all parts of the country. And that's the real deal. Thanks, everybody, for joining the show tonight. Smashing that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. That means a lot. Really helps support the channel when I get a lot of love. And so, yeah. I will see you guys. I'm going to leave now, but I will see you guys Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Time on the Debo Show. Debo's Fishing. Have a great night, guys. Happy Wiggle Wart fishing. And have a good one. You're right, Daniel. Got to keep her happy. Bye-bye.